So we've come out to Trevose Head today here on the beautiful North Cornish coast, and this is an area very close to my own heart. Love living around here, fishing around here, just such a beautiful place to be. And it's the type of place that we hope that anglers that are coming to Cornwall can enjoy a little bit of when they're here. And that brings me to the point of what we're talking about today, which is our Cornish Lure Festival. We started the event in 2011 and a small affair at the time. It's grown year on year generally. And now in 2025, we're hosting hopefully what will be our biggest and best yet. So there's a lot to talk about, so let's start getting into some of the details. So from this amazing building, which is the Pavilion Centre at the Royal Cornwall Showground near Weybridge, that our festival both begins and ends. It's here at 10 AM on the Friday morning that we'll all be meeting. It's a perfect chance for everybody just to get to know each other a little bit, chat about their weekend plans, just reminisce. And for a lot of the guys, it's their one opportunity each year to see each other and catch up. So it's a very, very social event. And that's what we hope to bring to it. It's one of those where it's not a competition as such. There are prizes, but we run it very much as a social experience in a way, and very much a learning potential to be had over the course of this weekend. So many of the guys that fish it with us have never been to Cornwall, let alone fished it. So we're always here to help out. And so many of the anglers get so involved with the new guys that come along and join us, whether they're, especially the juniors and the ladies who are very regularly here as well. It's the perfect chance for everybody to chat, talk about lure fishing, and just get to know each other a little bit before our weekend begins. So we'll be crossing our fingers for weather like this over the festival weekend, but it's from midday on the Friday that you'll see, hopefully you'll be involved as well, you'll see everybody just charging to cars and disappearing out of the car park here and off on their adventure around the Cornish coast. We have no limits actually as to where you can fish. The idea is that you're free to explore, so whether that's right down on Land's End or way up in Bude somewhere and beyond, the limits are just that you're fishing within Cornwall. We've actually got food and drinks on offer this year as well at our signing point, because I think it's going to be a much bigger event, I think, probably than we've done before, which is great. I mean, we've done a lot of planning. There's a lot of work that goes into this event, and thanks to the team we now have working with us of anglers and the staff here as well, we're kind of well prepared to make this probably the best we've ever had, I think. Like I say, we are expecting record numbers. Those guys fishing across typically our three categories, which is what we've always done. So we have our bass, our RAS, and our species. So to get into the information a little bit of those, which I'm sure you want to hear about, we're going to start off with our biggest category of all, bass. So the bass section has always been our biggest by far. 100 plus anglers all down into Cornwall for the weekend, all trying to catch the longest bass they can. So as a catch and release competition, this is not one where we're expecting you to bring fish to us at the end or anything like that. It's all done with photography. So the important aspect is that you naturally have your camera with you, whether that's on a phone or a separate camera, whatever suits you best. So in addition, there'll be two things. One of those is naturally a tape measure, because we need you to have your fish lying flat on the ground on top of, by the side of a tape measure, so that we can very clearly see where the beginning of that fish is and where the end. So have ideally the bass's nose on the zero, the fish's tail will come to wherever it comes on the measure, which is obviously important that it's not folded up or anything like that. And then that means that when you bring your photos with you to the presentation on the Sunday, we can quickly look through and could decide between looking at all the results who's basically won the event. So there's multiple prizes, obviously. Depends actually on how many we have enter as to how far down the list it goes in terms of prizes. But it's always been such a fun thing to do, hearing all the stories at the end of it, which is part of the fun come the Sunday when we all get together again and can just talk about our experiences of the weekend. The other element, which we'll mention in all of these different categories as we go through with the information, is that you need to ensure that the entrance card you've been given at the sign-in point is included in all of those photos. It's an important element to the competition so that we naturally know that the fish that you've taken a photo of was caught that weekend. So with that in mind, that's pretty much what we need to do. Just fish as much as you can, enjoy the weekend, catch as many and as long a bass as you can. We're only this year, actually, for the first time in a lot of years, we're only recording fish over 50 centimetres. We had so many fish in the last event that it actually takes so much time come the presentation when we're trying to look at all the results and figure things out, that we're going to cut it from a 50 centimetre limit this time. So any bass you catch over 50 centimetres, keep a record of it within your photos. Then it means that when we come to look at them, we can obviously keep a detailed analytical view in a way at the end of it all, as to how many fish we've caught, and we don't know where they are because we don't expect you to tell us, but it's just great to see how well or not Cornwall is fishing. So regardless of the tides, it fishes consistently well regardless. Because we sometimes have neaps, we sometimes have springs, it means that it mixes it up a little bit. So bass anglers, you won't find necessarily all areas fishing well on every state of tide. There might be somewhere that fishes well on a spring, somewhere fishes well on a neap, and it means that different areas are going to fish almost year on year. So we never know where the winner's going to come from. There's always an unpredictability within the bass fishing section because there'll be lots of guys, hopefully yourself included, maybe who haven't fished the event before, don't know the county, don't know where to go. I've said at the beginning of this video that we'll have people on hand almost to kind of try and guide you a little bit, because bass swim, they could be all over Cornwall. We have such a vast network of types of places that we can fish, whether that's in the estuaries, whether it's out on the open coasts and beaches like this, rock marks, or in the surface itself. And you never know where you may end up. I would almost advise bass anglers actually not to try and travel too far in some cases, darting around the county trying to chase a single fish that they've heard about on the grapevine or whatever. Because I think if you can just concentrate on an area, my advice to any bass anglers fishing the event will be to try and spend time fishing an area so that you've just got to cross your fingers, because it's the same for everybody. Cross your fingers that eventually a decent fish or two come along. So as well as the main prizes, which obviously revolves around the idea of catching the longest fish, there's actually then a sort of what I call it's almost like a most consistent category, whereby we kind of allow anglers to enter what is their second, third and fourth longest fish into almost a separate category. In a way, it's the most challenging event of all, because really it's a way of us rewarding the most consistent angler. So you may not be a bass angler that catches the longest or biggest bass over the weekend, but you might be somebody that's consistently caught larger than average fish. So by looking at it, where it's the second, third and fourth largest fish, the three of those, in a cumulative length, and it all added up obviously, it means that we can, like I say, reward those people. So it takes out the biggest fish basically. So rather than the guy who's won it with an absolute monster and then has much smaller backups, this rewards the guy who's really been very consistent throughout the weekend. So a great prize to challenge yourself for, a great reason to keep noting all of your fish, because some guys every year actually will get people that get to the presentation at the end of it all and will say, oh no, I didn't record this or I didn't record that, I really should have done because I could have won it. Make sure you measure everything over 50 centimeters, because there's every chance that if you can catch 3 50 centimeter plus fish, you'll be right up there in the overall standings, I think. So fingers crossed, we'll have a great year's fishing and we'll all just enjoy ourselves, which is the main thing. So such variety, more videos to come in terms of information. We're on now to chat about our next category, I think, which actually is something that's grown hugely and we'll tell you more about. It is, of course, RAS. So RAS fishing is something that we'd always kind of had as this little addition to our competition, but it very much was just a little add-on. It was never necessarily an event in its own right. But over the last few years, I think it's grown a lot in terms of interest from anglers, in terms of the competition that's become involved within it. It's become more interesting basically. So now it's an event in its own right, and something really worth noting in what we're doing now. So it's actually an event that shares a lot of similarities with the bass side of things. It is again a length-based competition, which means you'll need tape measures, and it's done in exactly the same way as the bass side of things. But the difference being in this case is that we're actually taking the combined length of your 4 longest RAS. So the reason for that is that RAS, as they tend to get bigger, they don't always necessarily go longer. In a lot of cases, they're just getting fatter. So if it was a single length-based fishing competition where it was your single biggest fish that counted towards the prizes, the chances are we'd have a 5-way tie, which nobody really wants to sort out. So by doing the 4 combined longest fish that you catch, it means that A, hopefully you're going to keep on going and keep on trying to catch more, but secondly, it's going to spread out the prizes a little bit, so we're going to hopefully see a little bit of differentiation between those top places and amongst that category. So I say it's competitive, it sort of is, but as anything within this festival, it's not as well, and there's a lot of guys that just fish for fun, as most of us do realistically, and again, it's anybody's game. We tend to see perhaps people like Tommy Bryce, for example, the winner of the previous couple of years, he's always going to be up there, but there's every chance that with RAS fishing, 1 or 2 decent fish and it just mixes everything right up. So it's anybody's game. So I think that's pretty much it for the RAS category. Like I say, with so many similarities, bar this combined length of your top 4, there's only one thing to talk about now, and that is LRF. So this year for our species hunt, we're back in Falmouth for what has been always quite over the past few years, one of the most exciting elements of our whole competition. It's within the LRF side of things, this is part of our species hunt event. So the idea of the weekend generally for these guys on the species hunt side of things is to naturally be catching as many species as they can. The way that we run these events is a little bit different, I think, to others in that we have a point system over the course of the weekend. So although catching as many different species as you can is very important, there's more to it than that. And we pride ourselves, I suppose, on the fact that it is a little bit different. It gives a lot of our sort of light game anglers something different to kind of add to their calendar, a different type of event. So it sounds more complicated, but I promise in future videos we'll do far more detail about these sort of things. But it's a very fun event, and that is where the emphasis is. It's very sociable, which is really why I love LRF myself, and it's hopefully going to be a great part of our weekend. So we're going to start, as always, within the species hunt category with our from the time you sign in on the Friday, hopefully at lunchtime. We then go through where you'd be catching as many species as you can, overnight even if you want to, through to the Saturday. And then it's on the Saturday where we'll all meet here in Falmouth at where I am now, the Chain Locker pub in Falmouth, where we'll do our draw effectively, which again will make more sense later. And from there, we're off fishing our different zones around the town, collating points as we go for different types of things. It's all done on fish length. It relies on stewards whom when you catch a fish, you'll run to your closest one, who will be very close by, who will record the length on your sheet. And then from there, you're back fishing as quickly as we can. And then over the course of that day, which will end at about 8:30, I think, this year, where you'll have a total length of species. You'll also have a total number of species you've added. And it's, again, something perhaps more complex than I'm going to explain in this video alone, but it's a brilliant part of the weekend, very sociable, which is what the point is, and why we added it in the first place, really. So after that event finishes on the Saturday, you're then off just doing what you want for the rest of the weekend, really, until we then get back to the showground in Weybridge on this Sunday lunchtime. So we get back there anytime before 1 o'clock, basically. So once we're back at the showground, this is where, again, the fun begins yet again, really, where we're all chatting, we're all there at the end of the weekend, sharing stories. Behind the scenes, we're obviously collating all of the results and things like that. We have massive, massive trophies if you've not seen it before, loads and loads of prizes. It's just the perfect end to what is hopefully going to be a perfect weekend for you when you come down and join us. So if you haven't done so yet, then fingers crossed. The tickets are obviously now on our website. Get yourself booked up and we'll see you soon.